Welcome to the December 2021 regular business board meeting of the Lower Merion Board of School Directors. We're asking that those attending tonight's meeting in person please wear a mask. Your mask should remain on when giving public comment at the podium as well. The board believes it is in its best interests and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from district residents. An opportunity will be given for public comment in person and through the chat feature, which will be read by Solicitor Roofs. This meeting is being video recorded with sound for public broadcast. All participants joining via Zoom will be muted upon entry. Unfortunately, President Klein had a death in the family and is not able to join us tonight. Condolences and best wishes to the Klein-McCann family. First agenda item is superintendent presentation.
Thank you so much, Vice President Lee, and welcome everyone to this evening's school board meeting. My part of this presentation will be very brief. I just wanted to say I've been out and about, still working through this 90-day plan. I'm having a great time in schools, meeting a lot of great members of our community that are all focused on the same accord around the needs of our children. So it's been extremely exciting. I must say today, I had the opportunity to hang out with first graders at Kenwood Elementary School. And each time when we come to a board meeting, I like to just give just a quick snapshot of some of the things that are happening in these visits. It was a simplistic reading of a book with the children, and the book basically talked about kindness and accepting differences. And I'll tell you, that conversation with first graders went from kindness to being intellectual. They were talking about giftedness and smartness and their place in this overall society, and I would say democracy. I use the word democracy. But again, at first grade, the level of intellect and just the thoughtfulness and the kindness and holding each other responsible to remain kind as a tool that they want to use a tool that they want to use to be successful. It was just amazing. I like to give these stories and just a little snapshot of these experiences because I'm telling you, if you haven't bought into the fact that you can get such a free ride of excitement and what the future will become by living through these children's eyes vicariously, I encourage you, please delve in deeply. It's so exciting to have this opportunity. So that's it for my portion of the report, but I want to move it over to Megan Schaefer, my assistant to the superintendent of district administration. We want to provide an update in regards to our health and safety plan here in the school district.
Good evening. Briefly for this evening, I wanted to catch everyone up on our planning as well as some concerning trends that we're noting in our school population. As far as good news, though, I'd say that our vaccination rates remain high. Obviously, they remain high, but are holding steady. And many of our Lmsb staff members were eligible and were able to receive the booster in October. In both November and December, we offered COVID vaccine clinics for our 5 to 11-year-olds, and for each clinic, we had over 700 shots administered or vaccines administered during those dates. So we're carefully updating our COVID dashboard to reflect those vaccination rates. So if you haven't checked recently, you can see now that we have our elementary school students represented on that chart, hovering around 40% right now. But as I've said, 40% is better than zero. So I feel like that's a very good step towards again, seeking that normalcy of school. That said, as I mentioned in my opening, we're concerned about some trends that we're seeing right now. Montgomery County is reporting that Lower Merion School District is in high transmission, which is up from moderate, which is what I reported the last time I was in front of you. As of December 9th, the incident rate is at 141, and the 14-day positivity rate is 3.13%, and that does put us in that high category. the daily case positivity rate for Montgomery County puts us at close to the same rate that we saw a year ago at this time. So again, that gives us pause as to where we go from here. Today, for instance, within the district, we had more cases reported in a single day than we've had over the course of any given week this school year. In the last 3 weeks have documented our highest weekly rates over the course of the school year. So those numbers, coupled with the fact that what we're seeing is that more of our cases involve vaccinated individuals who are symptomatic. And this is new territory for us, and I think for local health officials as well. And it's unclear how the variables of the new variant and maybe some relaxation of mitigation measures that we all may be thinking about, because now we're vaccinated, we can maybe go about our business a little more carefree. I think those, among other variables, may be playing into what we're seeing with these new cases. That, as well as an unexpected shortage of Binax test kits this week, have also given us a pause for how we move forward safely. Those test kits in particular are key to our strategies, such as testing out of quarantine, assurance testing of close contacts, testing symptomatic staff and students, and testing of students involved in higher risk activities. And as many of you may be aware, we did today for Harriton High School extracurricular activities. We suspended them for the balance of the week due to several outbreak cases there. So while we are watching everything, we are taking measures to address where we see some of these hotspots strategically, so that we're not taking, necessarily our first step towards moving towards virtual, but that is something that we have to, as we have a number of different measures in our toolkit, that is one of them. We are not there yet, and we are carefully considering this information as we move forward. Our longstanding health and safety team will be meeting on Wednesday morning to review this data and to consider what we're seeing in terms of the current trends, to make some recommendations to the superintendent for the weeks that follow. Like I said, I think we still are well positioned to get through this. We're hoping that we just saw maybe a very short spike and that things will start to even out. As I mentioned, we're a highly vaccinated community. We're very mask compliant here in the district, and I think those are strong factors in our favor in getting through this, what I, again, hope to be a very short-term spike in cases. So, again, we're going to continue to review this carefully and update you through the superintendent.
Any questions from the board? I have one. Just so that everyone is aware, have we considered last year during holiday weeks we would go virtual when we return to school? I'm just wondering if we could give everyone an update on where we are in thinking post-holiday break.
As I mentioned, I think that's one of the tools in our toolkit in terms of thinking about a response to what we're seeing. I just don't think we're ready to make any recommendation right now. We're still trying to get our arms around the cases that came in over the weekend, and hopefully, like I said, that was a short-term spike. If that's longer, it might be something that we'll have to evaluate, and would be doing so as soon as possible. Obviously, if that was something we were to do, as we've done in the past, we would have to give notices as soon as possible to make sure families are prepared.
Absolutely. And just to add just a little bit more, just for public consumption, these meetings are ongoing. We're looking at these numbers. It's a fluid situation at this time. So we're continually looking at the numbers, and to make a decision or a recommendation coming from the health and safety team to me, and I'll be able to present to the school board. We'll be looking at this before winter break to be able to get in front of it so that the families can prepare.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. All right, next we have committee meeting reports. First will be the student representative reports. Ms. Wu from Lower Merion High School.
Good evening, everyone. For Lower Merion, our winter sports season has started, which I think is really good for school morale, especially our basketball games. And although I haven't been to any of the basketball games yet, just looking at the Instagram posts, it looks like everyone is having a lot of fun and everyone's wearing their masks, which is good. Last Friday, our school paper, The Marionite, published their memorial issue for Mr. Hughes. I think the issue was really beautiful, and it reminded the community of the impact and importance of Mr. Hughes. And then today marked the last day of our winter toy drive for the student council. I think it was a pretty big success, and it was for a really good cause, which was the Ardmore Community Center. Keeping in line with the festive spirits, this Wednesday is the last day for our Winterfest fundraiser. All donations are going to the All Saints Memorial Church Food Pantry in Bryn Mawr. Moving on, a lot of STEM clubs like Science Olympiad and TSA are prepping for their regionals competitions, which are happening in about a month. And generally, all of our students are very excited for break, especially since this year has been a little difficult coming back. Although there haven't been any outbreaks at LM, I think the outbreak at Harriton serves as a good reminder for Lower Merion to take COVID protocol seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wu. Mr. Feldman from Harriton.
Good evening. As Ms. Wu mentioned, COVID is definitely still a big issue over at Harriton. So I wanted to start off talking about that. There has been definitely an uptick at Harriton, and those have been mainly caused by two spreading events, Dr. Harriton and the boys basketball team. So those who were close contacts, including myself, have been tested, which is good. That generally is helping people feel more safe at school. But also due to this, all after-school extracurricular activities, so sports and clubs, have been canceled for the week, and students have also been allowed to Zoom into class until break, which was an announcement that we received today. Hopefully everyone who has been affected by this is able to come back after break, and as Emmy mentioned, this can hopefully serve as a reminder to stay vigilant when it comes to COVID. On December 9th, there was a principal advisory board meeting. As always, there was a great open dialogue between our students and our principal, Mr. Weinstein. And students are very appreciative of this communication during a time where things are constantly changing within our school community. So everyone really enjoyed that. We have a Winter Wellness Day coming up on Thursday, December 23rd, the last day before break. So this day gives students the opportunity to de-stress and get into the long break with a good number of fun activities that students are able to sign up for, such as arts and crafts, baking, movies, among other things, which, again, I think students really appreciate. Student Council is also encouraging students to dress up in pajamas and holiday attire on that day, just to get the spirits up there. And really overall, I would say that students are really ready for winter break. They're feeling a little tired, which of course is always the case this time of year, but I would say feels somewhat especially true this year for a couple of different factors. But I think everyone's pretty ready for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the December 1st curriculum meeting report. Mr. Moran.
Thank you. So on Wednesday, December 1st at 8:30 a.m., the curriculum committee met The only topic on the agenda was the proposed expansion of Lower Merion's participation in the Central Montco Technical High School program. This program services the Colonial, Norristown, Upper Merion, and Lower Merion area school districts. And the program integrates state-of-the-art tools and equipment into curriculum that focuses on high-tech and high-paying careers. Students participating in the program will have an opportunity to earn industry certifications in state-approved and career technical education programs, including but not limited to allied health, automotive technology, networking technology, health sciences, exercise science, and rehab therapy, building trades, cosmetology, and video, sound, and music production. It was shared that there have been fairly steady enrollment over the past 10 years with an average of about 21 to 22 students at LM and 12 to 13 at Harriton. And we did see a significant jump at LM this year with a jump to 37 students enrolled and 17 at Harriton. We also explored the demographics of the students enrolled, 54 across both high schools. Currently, again, 37 at LM. 54% of those LM students are minorities. 35% receive free or reduced lunch, and 43% are designated special ed. At Harriton, out of the 17 students enrolled, 35% are minority students, 29% receiving free and reduced lunch, and 53% are enrolled in special ed. The goals of the program in terms of where we are now is one, shifting the narrative on technical careers within the greater Lower Merion School District community, and also continuing to lift this up as viable career pathways for students, and recognizing that over 90% of the students that are currently going through this program have gone on to attend post-secondary institutions, and also expand the vision for life after high school for these students. Also allowing, so one of the key things that needs to be addressed or that we're looking to change in the current iteration is allowing students to enroll in the program starting in 10th grade, which will allow them the 3 years needed to acquire their certification. And in doing so, there was a proposal to introduce policy 217 before the policy committee for consideration. And it reads that for students enrolled in an approved career and technical school program, the high school principal may permit substitution of appropriate career and technical school course to satisfy up to 1 credit in mathematics, 1 credit in science, and up to 2 credits in arts and humanities. Approval for these substitutions will be granted only to the extent necessary for scheduling the student into career and technical program. 2 additional barriers that need to be addressed is around the health credit, and there was some discussion about the possibly offering a virtual credit in health, and then there also needs to be some examination of how to address lab sciences. And the last thing shared was that there will be a new director for this program starting in January, Dr. Angela King. And that concluded the meeting.
Thank you. Next, the December 3rd policy meeting report. Ms. Robinson?
Thank you. The policy committee met on December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. in this room. We covered for adoption or second reading policy 007 board meetings, which was brought back for a second reading. Policy in AR 208 withdrawal from school. Policy in AR 360 reduction in staff. The following policies were recommended and reviewed for repeal as they are either redundant or unnecessary. Policy in AR 411 suspensions and furloughs. Policy in AR 433 staff development. Policy 821 privacy of protected health information. And Policy 802 school organization. For first readings, we covered policy 340, evaluation of professional and temporary professional employees, policy in AR 341, evaluation of support employees, and policy in AR 908, volunteers. Administrative regulations included AR 300-6, selection of coaches and sponsors, and AR 006. Civility was updated to reflect recent legislation. For discussion, we had AR 101, equity. Sample regulations were brought forward for discussion. They will be discussed further at the next Equity and Anti-Racism ad hoc subcommittee meeting and brought back with revisions. Policy in AR 235, student rights and responsibilities, was discussed with respect to a framework for revision. Following discussion, the meeting was adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the December 16th Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting. I'll be reading that. Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting met 12/16, 8:30 a.m. in this room. The following items were reviewed by the committee and recommended for approval at tonight's meeting by the full board. We recommended the list of district bills for approval. We recommended the following items from the purchasing report for approval. 4 purchases for Black Rock Middle School, $13,932.51 from Presidio Networked Solutions for an SR-ST router to support telephone service. $33,576.89 from E+ for uninterruptible power supply for the networking equipment. $420,071.44 from Visual Sound for audio-visual equipment, including smart boards and projectors. $2,791,293.37 from Educational Furniture Solutions for school furniture, including the assembly and installation. This number is higher than the original $1,500,000 straw man number estimated early in the project, and the cost difference is primarily being driven by the configuration of the building and additional team working spaces in the building design, as well as recent price increases affecting most things. $233.63 from Office Service Company for replacement furniture for the assistant principal and guidance offices at Ballackinwood Middle School. $1,115,030 from MA Brightbill Body Works for the purchase of 7 72-passenger diesel buses to replace 7 buses being retired. We expect the 7 diesel buses to replace 6 compressed natural gas and 1 diesel in service. We're replacing the CNG with diesel due to the increased cost of CNG buses and the long lead times for delivery of those buses. $71,170 from Rohrer Bus Sales for 1 30-passenger gasoline bus to replace a retiring 30-passenger gas bus. $32,975 from Johnson Controls to upgrade the fire alarm panel at Belmont Hills Elementary School. $12,728 with Zonar Systems to upgrade the GPS tracking system used for school buses from the soon-to-be-shut-down 3G network to 4G. $3,455,367.63 from Weatherproofing Technologies for the restoration of the roof at Welsh Valley Middle School. We recommended the updated list of approved contract bus drivers and bus aides for approval. We recommended the following district contracts for approval. Amendments to the following. 2 amendments with St. Joseph's University for the rental of AV equipment and staff to support the Harriton and Lower Merion High School graduations, both at a cost of $2,750. Mobile mini storage for the extension of 3 storage containers used to store furniture for COVID dedensifying until April 2022 at Harriton High School, Gladwin Elementary School, and Belmont Hills Elementary School at a total not to exceed amount of $1,500. Renewals with the following. 2 renewals with Presidio Networked Solutions for the renewal of Cisco SmartNet licensing and support for the computer network for $129,611.72, and Cisco SmartNet licensing and support for the telephone system for $76,658.40. And new contracts with the following. AGT Energy Services for enrollment in a federal rebate program for shifting compressed natural gas supply to renewable sources. The The rebate program is expected to result in approximately $1,500 in monthly rebates for Lower Merion School District. We recommended a work order with Traffic Planning and Design, Inc. for revisions to the traffic signal plans at the intersection at the entrance to Black Rock Middle School for a not-to-exceed amount of $25,000. The revisions are needed to support changes at the intersection due to changes the township made to the previously approved permit. We recommended the following change orders related to Black Rock Middle School for approval. IMC Construction, $41,541.68 for rock excavation related to retaining wall number 2. $120,968.02 for the cost difference of the removal of regulated fill instead of the expected clean fill and related to the previously approved change directive number 2. $35,894.50 for excavation overage costs for rock removed near Area C. $1,585.65 for concrete masonry changes needed to support architectural changes. $5,377.35 for modifications to catch basins needed to support concrete curbs. $1,042.49 for the addition of gypsum board to seminar room walls. $695.73 for the addition of a brick shelf support at Stair Tower D. $3,760.06 for changes to the roof parapet steel design. We received a credit of $5,460 for changes to the design of a wire mesh partition in the mezzanine of the auxiliary gym. And the last change order for IMC Construction is $36,685.51 for changes to the design of the science room number 3072. Change orders for Borough Construction. $56,221.86 for installation of audiovisual infrastructure previously approved in Change Directive 2. $112,185.22 for the installation of 5 projection screens. 2 change orders for Gessler Construction, $34,362 for modification and time extensions related to changes at the intersection of the new middle school related to the change in right-of-way. $17,000 for the installation of 19 trees and 9 shrubs at 1850 Montgomery Ave related to an agreement for a temporary easement needed to support construction. We had 1 change order for Vision Mechanical for $16,122.48 for plumbing revisions, and a no-cost change order for 11400 Inc. related to changes to the overall construction schedule. We recommended a change order with Weatherproofing Technologies for approval. The change order will be a credit of $5,757.85 related to unused supervisor days related to the roof replacement at Kinwood Elementary School. And lastly, we received an update on the construction of Black Rock Middle School. Construction work continues on schedule, and the expected turnover dates to Lower Merion begin in January 2022 for Area A and span to early June 2022 for Area D. No additional supply chain issues are known at this time. The project continues to run under budget with a total contracted spend to date of $86,484,276, which is below the original construction estimate of $96,621,570 and our targeted budget after contracts were awarded of $87,985,821. The next Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting will be on Thursday, January 20, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. and you can all join to hear this wonderful stuff. Thank you. Next, last committee meeting report will be December 17th Finance Report by Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. The Finance Committee met on December 17th in this room. The Finance Committee met to accept the draft financial audit report and draft single audit report for the year ended June 30th, 2021, as prepared by the district and opined upon by the independent auditors of Rayner and Company. The district received an unqualified opinion or a clean report, which means that Rayner and Company found that the financial statements, quote, present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the governmental activities, the business activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Lower Merion School District. Specifically, the general fund captures governmental activities, including all of the district's basic services such as instruction, administration, and community services. Local property taxes and state and federal subsidies and grants finance most of these activities. Local revenues made up 85%, state sources made up 14%, and federal sources made up approximately 1% of the total revenues. In addition to the general fund, the district has a capital projects fund, which funds all of the active construction projects of the district, such as the new middle school. During the 2020 fiscal year, the district issued general obligation series bonds in the amount of $50,625,000 to help finance a portion of the new middle school. The total debt of the district is $241,160,000 and ranges in maturity from 2022 through 2036. Debt service accounted for 10.2% of the total budget. The district has a capital reserve fund, which supports the capital projects of the district, such as the purchase of new buses under the 5-year transportation plan, or improvements at the schools under the 5-year operations plan, and the technology improvements or replacements under the 5-year technology plan. Each of these plans will be discussed in greater detail during the upcoming Finance Committee meetings, which will be held and recorded for reference and viewing in conjunction with the annual budget adoption process. In addition, the plans will be detailed and discussed at the facilities and purchasing meetings during the year. The district has a debt service fund, which supports the servicing of the debt obligations of the district. As to the business type activities, the district operates a food service operation and charges fees to staff and students to cover the costs of operation. The district also has some fiduciary funds, such as the Student Activity Fund, Scholarship Private Purpose Fund, and Employee Trust Funds reserved for employee benefits. The financial statements cover all of the 7 funds types in one way or another. The general fund had revenues of $288 million, which were approximately $4.8 million more than budgeted due to interim delinquent and transfer taxes, as well as an additional $2.5 million in CARES Act grant funds received from the federal government. Expenditures totaled $281 million, resulting in approximately $6.8 million in excess revenue over expenses. Of this amount, $5,339,000 was transferred to the Capital Reserve Fund. $1.4 million was recorded as a refund of prior year revenues, and $115,000 was added to the fund balance. The general fund has a fund balance of $43,149,087. Consisting of a hierarchy of 5 categories of classifications as follows. Non-spendable amounts that cannot be spent either because they are in non-spendable form or because they are legally or contractually required to be maintained intact. 2, restricted amounts that can only be used for a specific purpose because of federal or state laws or externally imposed by the grantors or creditors. 3, committed amounts that can only be used for a specific purpose determined by a formal action of the school board of directors resolution. Committed funds cannot be uncommitted except by removing the constraints through board action. Assigned amounts the district intends to use for the specific purpose, and finally, unassigned, which is the positive amount remaining. As of June 30th, 2021, the $43 million fund balance consisted of $293,000 of non-spendable prepaid expenses, $10.3 million of committed future PSERS obligations. PSERS stands for Public School Employee Retirement System. $5 million of committed future post-employment health care benefits, $21.5 million of assigned fund balance, and $6 million of unassigned fund balance. We then discussed the single audit, which captures the compliance audit of federal government funds, utilization, and accounting. Rayner and Company did not find any issues of noncompliance or internal control issues within the funds audited. The results of Rayner's test disclosed, quote, "no instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under the government auditing standards," end quote. With respect to internal controls, Rayner wrote, quote, "during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses," end quote. Rayner and Company will issue the audit report and single audit report when the statements are ready with no foreseen changes from the drafts presented. The board should anticipate them in the January board agenda. That concluded our discussion and the meeting was adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to shift to audience recognition. At this time, we will hear public comment. If you'd like to speak at tonight's meeting and have not signed up with Ms. LaPera, please do so now. For those of you that are joining us via the webinar, the chat feature will now be open and you'll see a 10-minute timer appear on your screen. You can submit your comments or questions via the chat feature. For anyone in person or remote, please be sure to begin your comment with your full name and the neighborhood you reside in the district in order for your comment to be shared. Ms. LaPera, do we have any in-person comments?
Yes, we do. We have two students with us this evening. We have Logan Jurassic, and then followed by Kaylin O'Sullivan. So Logan, you can come on up.
Hello, I'm Logan. I'm in 7th grade at BC. I've noticed that in the school curriculum, teachers don't teach LGBTQ plus history. The schools teach African American history, ancient civilization history, English history, and even a little bit of French history. But they don't teach anything about LGBTQ history and its significance to many lives. For example, I didn't know about the Stonewall Uprising until I heard about it from a friend. It got me thinking, why doesn't school teach this? Why doesn't school teach about the events that gave queer people the right to get married, the right to get a job, the right to get medical care, and other legal rights? If we ignore these important events, then history is bound to repeat itself and take us back to square one. A time where being homosexual or transgender, a time where people were being regularly attacked for being homosexual or transgender when they finally felt free to tell someone. Even today, people still get assaulted or even murdered because of who they are. Students who are queer need to know why they have rights, and students who are straight need to know why queers have rights. We not only need to know about these events, but we need to learn about the important people who risked their lives or even lost their lives for future generations of the LGBTQ plus community. If they are forgotten, we will forget why we are even able to walk outside and not be harassed for who we are. When schools really care about their students, then they will teach everyone queer history and why we are almost free today. In a district that is working hard to be more inclusive, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and other queer students. Please make changes and teach LGBTQ history for us and our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan. And I think I speak for everyone at on the board here. You know, we appreciate your comments and we'll take everything you're saying seriously.
I very much appreciate you speaking, Logan. Would it be okay with you if I brought your notes to Dr. Pratt, who's the Director of Curriculum for the middle and high school students? Okay, I think she'd be really receptive to this. I know she's really enthusiastic about that sort of thing, and I'd love to have a conversation with her about it. So thanks for coming and speaking to us.
Hello, my name is Kaylin O'Sullivan, and I am a senior at Harriton High School, and I would like to discuss food options at the school and propose an increase in vegan and vegetarian lunch options offered. I have much praise for Harriton's lunch program and its dedication to accessibility for its students, especially during COVID. However, from what I have noticed of options now, which are understandably reduced, is a lack of varied vegetarian-based meals. Options include, but are not limited to, pizza, mac and cheese, cheesesteaks, hamburgers, turkey hoagies, mozzarella sticks, chicken fingers, and chicken sandwiches. The only vegetarian options I have seen are pre-packaged side or main salads, and many of my friends are vegetarian, and the lack of such meals at Harriton is noticeable. Food accounts for 26% of greenhouse gas emissions, or also known as GHG emissions, as cited by the World in Our Data. Livestock, animals that are raised for meat and dairy and egg products, accounts for 31% of food emissions. Following the end of the UN Climate Conference earlier this November, they are still committed to the goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius and are promising radical change in order to meet it. If that is to be the case, then the types of food and the methods in which we produce and consume food must change. Where Harriton may be able to step up and help the climate change fight while at the same time providing students more opportunities to learn healthier ways of eating is by implementing or increasing the amount of vegetarian options offered at the school. One model to look at may be the longitudinal pilot study conducted by the Oakland Unified School District in California. The district studied the effects of lunch options and its correlation to greenhouse gas emissions and water usage. The district offered plant-based entree items and reduced meat servings for 2 years and concluded that they achieved a 14% net reduction in GHG emissions with all of their food purchases. I must acknowledge, however, that I do not know the plans of the nutritional services of Lmsb for future meal plans or changes, and I ask that the school board provide guidance for the nutritional services and increasing vegetarian options at Harriton High School for the welfare of the students and for the climate. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next we have Marcia Manzone, and then followed by Holly Manzoni and Ruth Jenkins.
Good evening, I'm Marcia Manzoni. I live in Narberth. I understand that you're working hard to be fair and give kids a great experience in school. You want to add playing fields so that kids at the new middle school can play baseball and softball just like kids at the other middle schools. The problem is that even if you're to build those fields, the experience will be different. The students wouldn't be able to go outside and start playing. They would have to ride a bus, get a ride, something. In that case, what's the point? There already are nice fields planned right at the new school, so why not find a way to use those fields so that kids can get exercise and participate in sports? Have you talked with the kids to find out if they even want baseball and softball fields? How many of those kids are interested in those sports? I know a lot of young people are interested and worried about their future and the future of the planet. They have anxiety over climate change. Powerful tornadoes just destroyed whole towns in places that have not experienced such extreme weather at this time of year. At the tallest mountain peaks in Greenland, rain has fallen instead of snow, and that's going to impact the weather across the globe. And just here, we had 70-degree weather in December. These are real concerns, and cutting down forests is a known contributor of climate change. You have the power to make a difference. You have a choice. You could go along with the plan to cut down hundreds of trees so that a couple dozen of kids or so could be bused to playing fields for a couple of months out of the year. Or you can put an end to the plan. You can recognize that saving the trees will benefit those kids and our entire community. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Holly Manzoni of Wynwood, and I would like to welcome all the new board members here. It's an exciting time, your first public meeting. Welcome. I'm hopeful that with nearly half of the board being new and a new superintendent who's doing a great job so far, that maybe Lower Merion can have a fresh start, a new beginning. I think it would be very beneficial to everyone if we could establish more of a sense of trust between the board and the citizens. I think that, with the board working on transparency, trying to get information out there so that we can see, and also listening to the people would give us a better sense of trust in you. And I think it's important for you to trust us as well. I think some of the actions you take may be taken because you feel that we won't support you. That if, God forbid, we should go to a referendum or something, that you wouldn't get public support. I think that if we could work together and trust each other, we're all on the same team after all. We all want the same things. We want what's best for our kids. I took the time to go through the bill list from this past year, 2021. And I was interested to see that this school district has spent more than $1.5 million on legal expenses in this past year. That's a lot of money. It's money that could better be spent on educating the kids and doing other things. And I don't know what you're paying these lawyers for, but I do know that some of those legal fees are in relation to zoning ordinances and appeals and things like that. And I believe that some of that can be changed if we can work together with the community and the school board or the district. Let us, incorporate us into what's going on, hear what we have to say. Maybe we could sort some of these issues out outside of the court. Thank you very much, and whatever holidays you celebrate, I hope they're happy, and a Happy New Year to you all.
Ruth Jenkins, then we have Christina Chang and Ben Driscoll.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Jenkins. I live in Wynwood. I've lived there for over 40 years. Had 4 children go through all the different schools in Lower Merion, and 5 of my 9 grandchildren as well. So I'm not a Johnny-come-lately, so to speak. I'm a community activist. And a couple of things about the schools, the Montgo schools that the students will go to. I don't think a lot of people realize that those schools are also transferable to colleges, so that many of the students that graduate from those training schools also go on to college. So it's not like just the end. And the second thing is that I have a son-in-law who's a plumber who graduated from one of those schools, and I'm sure all of you would love to have access to a plumber. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Holly just said. I'd like to welcome the 4 new members of the Lower Merion School Board, as well as the returning members, and of course, our esteemed superintendent. Hopefully, going forward, there will be a spirit of cooperation with the community to accomplish appropriate goals for all of our students. Since Lower Merion High School is in our neighborhood, we are directly impacted by many of the decisions the board makes. A more transparent process of change, more community input, and definitely a better website so that we can access the information. Thank you.
Christina Chang.
Just quickly, Ms. Jenkins, I would like to point you to our new website that as of, I believe, Dr. Mumim's first day, our website refresh went live, and it's been completely revamped. It's completely ADA compliant, reorganized based on frequent searches that are done, done on our website. So I think if you take another look at the main website, it's been really redone in a way that's a lot more user-friendly than it had been in the past. But thank you so much for your feedback.
Good evening, Christina Chang, Penn Valley. Welcome to the 4 new board members tonight, and welcome back to everybody else. I've been actively participating in board meetings for about a year and a half, summer of 2020. I think when schools went virtual, March of 2020, it was a complete shock to all of us. That March, April, May, June was very lacking in education. The virtual program, really, we had none. And so teachers scrambled. It was not a good educational experience for all of our children. Then we were hoping for a little bit more normalcy by September of 2020. And we're shocked that we started school virtually then. Moved into hybrid, moved into virtual, back to hybrid, and then around spring of this year, more in person. Summer was generally good. We all came back here September when Mr. Copeland was here. The board said, We want this year to be as normal as possible. And it did start off mostly normal. And now we are here. Case counts are higher. I ask that we remain calm. Our student vax rates at the secondary level, while reported at 85%, that's self-reporting. It could be higher. For elementary school kids, generally at 44%, it could be higher. I have 1 minute remaining. Schools should remain open because it is essential. Our kids have lost so much over the last year and a half. We need to learn from what we did to our children over the last year and a half. Hearing that there could be virtual after winter break is just not acceptable. We need to learn from our mistakes. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ben Driscoll, and I live in Wynwood. I spoke at the Board of Commissioners meeting last Wednesday, December 15th, and I'm here to kind of give you a summary of what I said a couple of days ago. I want you to know that I started off with the township has a sidewalk project called VIL1 in its capital improvement plan. This sidewalk will run from Claremont to North Spring Mill Avenue in Villanova and span 4 properties, 2 residences, school district's property 1835, and Stone Lake. In the township's plan, the township is providing all of the funding to pay for 3 out of the 4 properties, the 2 residences and Stone Lake. This is in contrast to the property at 1835, where the entire cost of that portion of the sidewalk will be paid by the property owner, the school district. So my questions to the commissioners were these. Why the disparity? One singular sidewalk in the township requires only 1 out of 4 property owners to pay. What characteristics singled out the school district for having to pay that section of its sidewalk? If this is an arbitrary allocation of funds, township funds for some property owners but not others, is this morally right? If the Board of Commissioners denies the athletic fields for the new middle school students, will the sidewalk still be demanded? Will the school district be stuck paying for a sidewalk while it receives nothing in the way of athletic fields? Contrast that with another project, VIL6, the intersection improvements at Montgomery Avenue, North Spring Mill Road. The township projects an estimated cost for that of $1.1 million, where the school district is contributing $500,000. The school district's contribution arose from a condition of approval in building Black Rock Middle School at 1860 Montgomery Avenue. The school district is contributing to an off-site intersection improvement about 1/2 mile away from Black Rock Middle School. This is in direct contrast to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Code. There's no question about this $500,000 violates the MPC. My point to the Board of Commissioners was they have the opportunity to undo this wrong and not inappropriately take the school district funds for a project where the nearest neighbor, Stone Lake, will contribute nothing. My last ask was to the commissioners about the structures at 1835 and 1860. I had once asked Mr. Gavin at an intergovernmental meeting if he would consider moving these structures from school district property to Stone Lake or anywhere else as an effort to preserve them. He said no. So I went to the meeting last week and asked the other 13. I asked them to reach out to Natural Lands and ask them, do you guys want these? My ask of you is, do nothing on this. The township asks, and Natural Lands approaches you, I would ask you to work with them as best you can to see if something can be done to move those non-historic structures that some people care about from what is your property over to Stone Lake, if that is what we want. My only other ask for you is just to look at the inequities in funding that I just laid out for you, see where you lie with it, because you are the school district now, and work with the commissioners to see if that's what seems reasonable. Thank you for your time.
That's it for the in-person.
How much time do we have left on the?
I'm sorry, time is up, Mr. Roos.
Great. Mr. Roos, can you read the public comments from the chat?
Yes, can you hear me all right? There are 3 commenters. First, Vesper Woodhawk, Marion Station. Hi, I'm a middle school student and the 8:15 start time is incredibly hard for me. I'm not getting enough sleep, so I act very cranky the next day and most of the time I can't fall asleep at a normal time because I'm lying in bed worrying about school. I can't imagine what the 7:30 start time would be like for me. Could you please push back the school start time so that the students have more sleep? Second comment, Janice Lipsett, Marion Station. Emphatically, very much appreciated the comments about school nutrition and options by the student. My son's experience validates the experience shared, and to add to this, there are opportunities for not only more healthy meals, but also meals that reflect diverse cultures. Thank you. Final comment is from Jamie Bassman, Ardmore. I want to second the comments about LGBTQ history being integrated into our curriculum. The history of the disabilities rights movement also needs to be integrated into curriculum. There is a local organization, Disability Equality in Education, that can provide teachers with Common Core aligned lessons for different age groups on disability awareness. Also, please ensure that this work is an important part of equity, capital E equity process. Thank you. That concludes the chat comments.
Thank you. We'll now move forward with approving tonight's agenda via consent. Do we have any questions from the board about any of the agenda items? No? Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda via consent?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Mr. Roos, can you give us a report on the Sunshine Act?
Yes. Executive sessions were held on December 15th and December 20th. The executive session on December 15th was an update of district litigation to the full board, including the new board members. That means that we'll have a lot of cases, a lot of matters to list. There has also, I understand, been some concern expressed on social media regarding the detail of Sunshine Act announcements. I certainly have no problem providing additional detail if that in order to increase transparency. So bear with me, though you will hear a lot of court names and docket numbers. The matters that were discussed in executive session on December 14th were as follows: the Calvary Cemetery Assessment Exemption Appeals, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, numbers 2015-09082 and 2015-09086. Next was Jackson versus Lower Merion School District, United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, case number 2:20 CV 03536, capital GEKP. That also is on the agenda tonight, was approved, the settlement agreement was approved in tonight's agenda. New playing fields, Lower Merion Township Zoning Hearing Board Appeals, numbers 4537, 4538, 4539, 4540, 4541, 4542. Arnold Field Lights, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, numbers 2021-2046. Also, Zoning Hearing Board Appeal number 4517 and 4518. Alexandra Street Assessment Appeal, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, number 2017-28992. Arthur Wolf versus Lower Merion School District, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, number 2016-01839. Lower Merion School District versus Foundation for Islamic Education versus Rockwell, Villanova, and Gregory Lingo, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, number 2020-15978. Montgomery Lower Merion School District versus KCB Architects, Barry Isett and Associates, KC Construction and Craig Testing Laboratories, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, number 2018-20909. And JA versus Lower Merion School District, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, number 20021-17767. The board also held an executive session tonight, as I said, regarding the Arnold Field Lights, again, Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas, 2021-20406, CHB Appeal number 4517, 4518. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Upcoming school board meetings, we have January 10th Education Committee and Supplementary Regular Board Meeting, January 24th Regular Business Board Meeting. Both of those will be in this room at 8 p.m. Upcoming committee meetings, December 22nd Ad Hoc Committee for Equity and Anti-Racism, 7 p.m. January 5th Curriculum at 8:30 a.m. January 7th, Policy, 8:30 a.m. January 20th, Facilities and Purchasing, 8:30 a.m. January 26th, Communications at 7 p.m. All of those committee meetings will also be in this room. There being no further business, thank you on behalf of the board and the administration. We hope everyone has a happy holiday and a healthy winter break. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.